Hi, I'm Eileen Roach, and welcome to today's Edge to Edge Quilting with your embroidery machine class.
And I'm Deborah Jones. And you know, Eileen, embroiderers all over have discovered that you can mimic the look of long arm quilting right in your sewing room.
I can't believe what we can do on those embroidery machines, and we're going to break that down today from hooping, managing the bulk of the quilt, what threads you need, needles, everything.
Right, and designs too.
Absolutely. So let's get started.
So good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. My name is Lisa Knight. I am a longtime dime educator and the Las Vegas Sew Girl. So welcome to the Las Vegas Sewing Lounge. I'm so happy you joined me. Thank you so much. And we're going to have a great time learning how to do edge-to-edge quilting, which is really hot. And one of the things that when I figured out that I could do it with my embroidery machine, oh my goodness, you couldn't stop me. I love doing it. It's so much fun. And I can take those quilt tops, which I was an expert at making quilt tops, not so good at making quilts. So I jokingly say we should change our name from quilters to toppers, but with your embroidery machine and edge-to-edge quilting with your embroidery machine, you will have quilts accomplished very soon. Well, before we get started, I'd want to thank Vac City in College Station, Texas, for hosting this event, and bring on Ashton.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, Ashton. How you doing?
We're good. We're super excited about this event.
Well, I'm excited that we're getting to work with your sewing peeps. I love to get to talk to people from all over the country, and we've got so many exciting things to show today. Tell me a little bit about Vac City. I've not been there.
Oh, well, you're missing out. We have quite the variety of stuff. We sell sewing machines, vacuums. We also have about 4,000 bolts of fabric. All of that's available online. And then we're big on classes and clubs. We have about a class or a club that meets almost every day. Our calendar's online. Our clubs are a great space to come. They're free. You can come just, build a community with people who are interested in the same things as you. So we have clubs for certain brands. So Bernina, Brother, Janome, and then we also have clubs for embroidery club, serger club. Those are kind of our best options. We have so many people that come to the clubs because they just enjoy building the community with other people. And like I said, we have a servicing department here, so we can work on all of our machines in-house. And if you ever have any questions, you can usually get an answer from somebody in our store.
That's fantastic. It's a great resource for your local people. And if you're not local, you can always use their online resources.
Yes,
that sounds fantastic. So I always ask our hosts what their favorite dime product is. And I know that you're new to us as far as getting started doing these events, but I would love to know what your favorite dime product is.
I did pick up my favorite dime. I even brought it in here because we have them out on the floor. We have several, and it's our hoop guards. So a lot of our local people that come in the store know I have a little girl who's 4.5. So I've been doing embroidery products for her since she was born. And nothing's worse than embroidering on like a little tiny onesie and having to keep the fabric and hoping it doesn't scoop in there. So with the hoop guard, this kind of protects your hoop from the fabric going into the hoop. It pushes it out. So when you're doing small things like that, bags, onesies, shirts, things like that, it's by far my favorite product because it just pushes everything out of the way.
That's awesome. So I can hear you're getting busy over there at Vac City. So I'm going to let you go, and we're going to get this edge-to-edge party started.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much for hosting. So over in the chat, we have Gloria Cardoza. And hey, Gloria, how's it going?
I'm doing great. What's going on over here?
Well, I'm getting ready to start showing people edge to edge, but I know that you're an expert on the dime products, so you're going to be helping out over there answering any questions, and we'd love to hear from you folks that are in this event, what you're excited about, what you're curious about. What's your first quilt? Is it a new quilt top that you made, or is it one that you've had a while? I mean, I really got good at making tops, but turning them into quilts was another story. Now that I can do it with my embroidery machine, it makes a huge difference. So we'd love for you to chat with Gloria about that. And every 30 minutes or so, Gloria and I will get back together and she'll bring some questions to me. And we're super excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. So I'm going to let Gloria get over to the chat and we're going to get started. So, edge-to-edge quilting with your embroidery machine. What exactly is edge-to-edge quilting? Well, edge-to-edge is going to give you the look of a long arm quilted quilt. And it typically is a single or maybe a couple of patterns done from one side of the quilt to the other. And oops, let's go back one. It's done with your embroidery machine. It is going to look so much like long arm, you're going to be amazed. It has connecting threads, so it just looks like one continuous design all over the entire quilt. The quilts that you're seeing up on the screen right now have all been done on an embroidery machine and, in fact, with embroidery thread. You can do everything from a placemat all the way up to a king-size quilt. We've got beautiful designs for you today. I always say that the best place to start if you haven't done anything like this with your embroidery machine is to start with a smaller project like a tree skirt, a placemat, or a table runner. These are all going to be great places for you to get your feet wet and comfortable with the process. You can do gorgeous table runners like you see here, or I love this project, is perfect for potlucks or even as a hostess gift for somebody that's hosting a meal and you're just bringing a dish. This is a perfect design and is a great stash buster. And your quilting stitches look as good on the front as they do on the back. So just really super cute. So let's go under the camera and look at a few more edge-to-edge quilts that have been done on an embroidery machine. So the first one I have up is actually, I think, the first one I ever did. This is a nice little wall quilt, and I used the quilt designs in my quilt planner software, and it just came out really cute. I got to test it on the quilt block so I could see what it would look like. Here's another one that is very similar, also done from the My Quilt Planner software. You can see it looks beautiful on front and back. One of my favorite places to start, and I always recommend to you guys, start with a simple stipple. This is just the simple stipple, and for the first few times I did quilting with an embroidery machine, I was really happy with my stipples. They turned out beautiful. They're very forgiving. And one of the things that I teach you guys is that when you're new to this, give yourself a break and use a busy background. This will hide a multitude of little issues that you may have come across in your quilting, and you'll still have something beautiful that you can be proud of and display and enjoy. This is my little dog's favorite quilt. It is the kind of dog he is, and he just loves sitting on it. Now, this one was done with my quilt planner software, and this is a florally stipple, and it just looks beautiful as an overall. And like I said before, embroidery thread is something that I use quite often when doing my quilts. Then this one is one from the Amelie Scott designs, and it has, I use the exquisite medley thread, which is a variegated, which is one of my favorite threads to use when quilting with my embroidery machine, because you get a lot of beautiful color movement, but you only have one thread to worry about. And then I just choose either a matching thread for the backing, or I choose, let's see, a thread that's part of our color play sets. But this is, the design is from the Edge to Edge with an embroidery machine by Amelie Scott Designs. And then here's one more that's utilizing those designs, just a different design from them. These are all beautiful leaves, and I chose another one of our medley threads to work with for this, and it just looks just as lovely on the front as on the back. And for this one, I just chose a complementary thread to the color of my backing. So handling the weight of the quilt, because we did say anything from a placemat all the way up to a king size quilt. And one of the things that you'll find that is it can cause issues is that weight of the quilt laying on the machine. And we have the perfect item to help you with that. We're going to show you a demo video right now. Eileen's got a quilt that's ready to quilt. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on? We've got it in the background. Let's try it again. Here we go. That is the weightless quilter. This is a weight management system that's going to help you immensely with quilting with your embroidery machine. Eileen's got a basted quilt there. It's set up with your batting and backing fabric as well as basted, and it's got templates on it for placement. A snap hoop monster is on the machine, and she's putting the quilt into the weightless quilter. It's going to hold and manage the weight of the quilt as it's doing its embroidery. And typically, embroidery designs for edge-to-edge quilting or quilting with your embroidery machine are going to take about 3 to 5 minutes to stitch out. So you can see that there'll be a lot of hooping. And making this system so much easier is going to make the process much more enjoyable. You're going to readjust the quilt as you progress. And here she's coming down to the end. Something about this size you could do in an afternoon or a couple of afternoons. And she's utilizing templates as well as the snap hoop monster to get the job done quickly. How fun is this? And what a feeling of accomplishment when you can say that you created a quilt and you finished it all by yourself. Now all you need to do is add binding. I love this. So we thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you coming and playing in our sewing studio. And we have a thank you gift for you, this really nice stipple. This is, like I said before, this is my place of starting point, and it really made the process and the breaking down of it so much easier. And you know, you could stipple a lot of quilts. I was always jealous of people that could stipple by free motion. I never quite got that down. And this is a free design for you. You just go to the bottom of the product list and add it to your cart. You'll get an email once you've checked out letting you know how to download it. So this is a shop and learn event. You can shop while we're talking, special prices, and rewatch and shop for the next 48 hours. You're going to click on View Product, and that's going to open a more expanded view for you so you know exactly what you're looking at. And then if this is something you want in your life, you're going to add it to the cart. Once you've added all the items that you want to your cart, but don't forget to go get that free design of the stipple, click on Checkout. At checkout, make sure that you click on Show Order Summary, because this is going to give you a breakdown of what you've ordered. Make sure you didn't accidentally duplicate anything or forget anything. And it's going to reveal our discount code. The discount code for today is going to give you free shipping to any US address when you spend $150 or more. But wait, there's more. If you spend $250 or more with the Snow Ship discount code, you get the free shipping. And then with Snow 10, you get an additional 10% off. So don't forget those discount codes, guys. Now, one of my favorite places to recommend that you start is with a cheater quilt. What is a cheater quilt? I'm sure you're asking. It is a printed panel of fabric. This one is 51.5 by 70. That all you need to do is add batting and backing fabric and binding to. And it's printed to look like a pieced quilt. And believe it or not, once you get it quilted, it looks like a pieced quilt. They're just gorgeous. This one's the crisscross cheater quilt, and it comes with 7 designs for you to be able to customize it however you want, or you can put your own quilt designs. It's totally up to you. And this way you don't have to worry about, because I know I had quite a collection of tops, And I was concerned I was not going to do a good job when I quilted them if they were where I first started. I put my blood, sweat, and tears in them and my money. I didn't want that to be the first spot. And I've talked to lots of quilters across the country, and that's always a concern, is I'm afraid that I'm going to mess up my quilt that I pieced and put a lot of time and effort in if it's the first thing I do. Well, the cheater quilt's a great place to start because their fear factor is gone. This is $49.99. Now, we're going to gather our supplies as we go along this quilting journey. And the first supply we highly recommend is a snap hoop monster. And I'm just going to adjust a couple things and get my snap hoop monster up on screen so you guys can see it. And if you're not familiar with snap hoop monsters, you need to pay attention and get familiar because you're going to love them. So the snap hoop monster is a two-piece magnetic system with very strong magnets. It's a flat hooping system, so you don't have an inner ring hoop pushing down into it. So there's a lot of things that this is going to work really well for you for that perhaps a traditional hoop isn't. The first portion is your magnet portion. It has two sides. This is the top side, and this is where the magnets are. It has recessed areas, so you know when the recessed area is down, then you have the magnets to the metal in the right direction. These also help you leverage the top off when you're ready to unhoop something. This is the shield. It looks like packing material, but don't toss it. It has really good things to do with it. First of all, you're going to store it like this with the top on top to protect your hoop. This is the base of the hoop. This is where all the magic happens. This part is what your embroidery machine will read so that it's recognized as a hoop that embroidery machine can use. And they are machine specific. And we're going to talk about how important it is for you to order the brand of machine and model so that you get the right hoop for your machine. We don't want you to get a hoop home that's not going to work. That would be very disappointing. So I've got myself a little quilt sandwich here. It's got top fabric, batting, and backing fabric. And I'm just going to find where the hoop is underneath. And I'm going to place my hoop in place. Now, it's very nice and snugly put on here. This is going to be perfect to hold my quilt as I'm quilting it. And if it's a larger quilt, I definitely want to add that weightless quilter so that I have that weight management system as well. Now, this is one of the things that you can use your shield for because I know my hooping area is on the other side of the room to my machine. So I'm going to have to carry it. If I put the shield underneath, I have a nice sturdy surface that I'm not going to accidentally do that. But if you do that, it's okay. You can always pull and straighten it out. Now, that's for quilting. For things that are thinner, and I'm going to use the example of a piece of stabilizer, but quilting cottons or t-shirts or anything thinner, you definitely want to do something that I think is a really good idea, is I take my shield and I put it about 3/4 of the way into the hoop, and then I line up again, but I keep my fingers out of the way because the magnets are super strong, and when they find the metal, they pull down immediately. So we want to keep your fingers safe, and you just slide the shield out and then tug to make it flat. And I know that with a traditional hoop, this is a no-no, but with a snap hoop, you're not pushing the items down into the hoop like with a traditional hoop. Let me grab a traditional hoop so you can see the difference here. So see how the stabilizer is flat here, and then over here it's been pushed into it. And if you start pulling, you're pulling it so taut that when you finish your stitching, the fabric's going to want to relax back, and you're going to end up with some puckering. So we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So that's the snap hoop monster. Oh, I didn't show you the back. It actually has some nice little ultra suede tapes back here to protect the bed of your machine. So let's go back into the presentation and see how to order these. So these are great for quilt sandwiches, quilting in the hoop, baby snap suits, t-shirts, terry cloths, sweatshirts, heavy or bulky fabrics that aren't going to like to be put in the hoop because some of them, the hoop will actually leave a mark. Others, they just don't want to fit. The hoop doesn't want to stretch far enough. And typically those items, you're using sticky stabilizer and hooping it. Whereas with the Snap Hoop Monster, you can use the stabilizer that was most recommended for it. And you're able to not have to deal with trying to push things that don't want to go into hoops. How do we order them? They're listed alphabetically by machine. You're going to click on the machine style or the brand. Then you're going to look at the machine models and figure out which one's going to work best for your machine. And we have them for multi-needles. So with the addition of the weightless quilter and a Snap Hoop Monster for a multi-needle, you can do quilting with your multi-needle too. And it's not wanting to advance here. There we go. And here is Ashton's favorite item. This is the hoop guard, and the hoop guard actually helps you keep things that you don't want in the stitch area out. Like for instance, that excess quilt roll to the right of the needle, and also baby little t-shirts and onesies. It'll help you with that as well. This is our standard size, and they come in 2 different sizes. For typical use, the standard size is going to work the best, like you see with the onesie or with the towel for to keep that bulk of that towel from accidentally flipping into the stitch field. These are $19.99 each, and these will work with your Snap Hoop Monster. This is our jumbo hoop guard for monster hoops of 6 by 10 or larger, and it's giving you 3 times as much coverage with the same amount of area taken up underneath of the hoop. This is $24.99. Honestly, when I was doing, before we had this is a new item that last year, I was using 2 hoop guards to take care of those bigger hoops. So there's no more hovering that you'd have to do over your machine worrying that something's going to plop into the field. So let's hear this video from Christine Connor from Amelie Scott Designs about her designs and what she loves about dime.
Hi, I'm Christine Connor, owner of Amelie Scott Designs and the author of Edge to Edge Quilting on Your Embroidery Machine. I'm also the digitizer for our embroidery and quilting designs. I am thrilled to be working with Dime. Like us, they have great products and tools that make quilting on your embroidery machine fun and easy. They are very inventive at solving problems. I know I have been using their Perfect Embroidery Pro software for years, and I recently started using my quilt planner. I can tell you right now, I love it. I'm also totally hooked on their Snap Hoop Monster magnetic hoops. They make hooping a breeze. They also have a product called the Weightless Quilter that I like to use too. It's like having a bunch of hands helping you when you're supporting the weight of a quilt when you're quilting on your embroidery machine. You guys are going to have so much fun today. In this class, you will get to see firsthand how these products and techniques will make it easy for you to finish your quilt tops. I think at the end of the day, you'll be excited and inspired and ready to start quilting. So have fun.
So that was really awesome to hear from Christine and about what she loves about our products and about her products. I mean, I have had the pleasure of utilizing her products and they have been a delight. So let's check in with Gloria and see if we have any questions before we keep moving forward.
Hey,
how's it going over there in the chat?
we have some great questions already coming in. One of them's more of a software question. So just to have it mulling over in your mind, because I know you might cover that later, was can you do edge to edge around an applique?
Around an applique. Well, that is actually going to be more of a question for our custom quilting class, because we do have a custom quilting class, and that's utilizing a different software than we'll be talking about today. That's using My Quilt Embellisher software. But yes, you can definitely do that. It's just going to be a little bit of a different procedure.
Okay. Thank
And
you
you
for
can
that.
actually do, I mean, to add to that, you can actually break your designs down into smaller designs and work around your applique. So if you already have a quilt, say for instance, this quilt here had applique on it or something that I wanted to work around, I could build my design in such a way that it would go around it. But
And
that
that would
would
be
be
like
kind of a little bit
using,
more like custom quilting.
and that would be using like pre-made designs, like the one seen like by Amelia Scott. You could just kind of resize them to fit around your project.
Yes.
I like that. I think it's a great like starter one that you could do right now. The other one, I noticed that you were talking a little bit about the weightless quilter. What was the difference between that and the tabletop?
Well, the difference between the weightless quilter and the tabletop is, and we're going to break down the weightless in just a moment, is that the weightless sits on the floor and that it can hold up to 47 pounds of quilt weight. Whereas the tabletop is geared more towards smaller projects like table runners, or we just did an event for our bag making and utilizing things that, you just have this big bulky item and it's a way to hold it up and out of your way. It hooks to your table and holds up a lighter weight, like 53-inch quilt is about the biggest you want to do on it.
I love that. It's a nice compact version.
It is compact, and it's an option for those that aren't necessarily doing bed-size quilts or bigger than a crib-size quilt things.
Okay, I think that's going to wrap us up for now.
All right, Gloria, great questions. Keep them coming, guys. These are awesome. Tell us what you're excited about. What do you want to quilt first? What's going to be the first thing, since you're getting the tools to learn how to do quilting with your embroidery machine? Let us know what you want to quilt first. Where do you want to start? So managing, as we gather our supplies, that quilt management is key. Being able to, because I mean, for me personally, I always think about, well, I like to do little projects, but I would love to display a quilt on one of my beds or on the sofa, larger quilts. So quilt management, the weightless quilter. It's going to help you because, as you can see in this photograph, we've got a quilt that's draped across your embroidery machine, a typical embroidery machine. Actually, they've actually got a little bit bigger in the last few years, but a typical embroidery machine. And you've got quilt hanging off the front, you've got quilt hanging off the side and the back. What happens when that happens with a traditional hoop or even with a snap hoop? You can get what we call quilt drag. Quilt drag with a traditional hoop is going to cause that hoop to pop. And depending on your machine and your skill level, this can be a disaster. And with a snap hoop, what can happen is that hoop the quilt can cause the hoop to shift. So we don't want that to happen. So having a way to deal with the weight of the quilt is key. So the weightless quilter was created by Eileen to handle the weight of the quilt. And if you watch this little video here, you can see it's just like almost hovering. And you have 4 stations that you can hook your quilt into. We don't have the lower right-hand side hooked in, so for camera work, but otherwise it looks like, somebody holding up the train of your wedding dress, or, having, as Christine Connor said, having a whole bunch of friends holding up your quilt. I wish I had friends that would just want to come hang out and sit and do this while I did that, but most likely they would only do it if I was making the quilt for them. Now, this is the bird's eye view of the weightless quilter. It has many different ways you can configure it. These are the poles that are going to hold the quilt. It can fit under your table. This is how it clamps to your quilt, and you can adjust it as you move around the quilt and accomplish different areas. This picture shows it furled out completely in the back. It does not have to be like this. You can have it literally right up against a wall or a window. You can put it around a small table like you see here. A larger table, it can go underneath. Sewing furniture, it can go around. The footprint on the weightless quilter is relatively small. It's 1 inch wide by 3/4 inch tall. At the corner pieces, you do have a little bit more bulk. It's great for sit-down free motion embroidery. And as you can see here, you have it in 2 different kinds of configurations. Here you have all 4 in front. And this is a different viewpoint. But you can see how this would take all the weight off of the embroidery unit and the hoop and just allow the embroidery machine to do its thing. Stitch that design and do it well. This was an example of showing it in a room that's a little tighter, up against the wall, and you can just keep configuring, and as you come to the corners and edges of the quilt, what you're going to do. So what else can a weightless quilter do? Because it can help you with a few things. One thing that I always struggle with is once you get that quilt done and you've trimmed it and you're ready to put the binding on, you're still dealing with a lot of weight. Using the weightless quilter to hold it so that you don't have to struggle trying to move it and manipulate it through the machine is going to be a huge help. I've used it with wearables when I've had a lot of fabric to work with on the, maybe I was putting some designs on the hem of a skirt, and it was a ready-made skirt. It was denim. The weightless quilter really saved me because I was struggling trying to keep it in line. It's great for ruler work or free motion quilting. It takes all the pressure off your neck, shoulders, and hands, and you can do what you need to think about rather than struggle with trying to deal with the weight of the quilt. The weightless quilter is $299.99. It's normally $399. And in the very beginning, we did see that really small footprint. It's about 5-ish feet tall and about 20, 5 inches square, 5 by 5 by 5. And this is our weightless quilter tabletop. And that's what Gloria was asking me about just a few minutes ago. What's the difference? So this one, as you can see in the photograph, hooks to your table and holds all that extra quilt bulk out of the way. Or even if you're working on something where you just have a ton of fabric and you just want to keep it from getting up underneath of your sewing area, it's a great way to do it too. It eliminates the quilt and hoop drag. It gets a big job done in a small space, great for quilting with your embroidery machine, free motion quilting, and ruler work. It's for a 54-inch quilt or smaller, and it doesn't require any special furniture. It just clamps right to your table. It is $59.99. So we've been talking about how to get these things done. So machine embroidery quilting designs. What do you need to do this? You need embroidery designs that are going to work in a run stitch designs that have a forward run design like you see here, that come in the embroidery formats for your embroidery machine. This one I love because it looks like that ribbon candy that you see at the holidays, and it's from the Flower Box Quilt Book. Continuous line designs. I mean, when I look at this, I just see what looks like a design that just keeps going on and on. But let's click again and see a coloration of it so we can see where it attaches and detaches as we're doing this. This actually is a left and right design, so you have a little bit different on each one. And this little animation shows you where they're linking together, and then you're stitching the next design. When you're doing things with the weightless quilter or with embroidery, edge-to-edge embroidery, you're going to start in the middle of your quilt and work up and down and out. This is our happy flower design, and this is in our Quilt with Your Embroidery Machine in 8 Easy Lessons. And I love the happy flower because it looks a little different on every single quilt. These designs are from the E to E Favorites bundle from Amelie Scott Designs. And this is the fun one with the little quilt blocks and the thread and the sewing machine. So it's kind of all the things that we love. And it's done in an A column and a B column so that you don't end up having what looks like the same design over and over. You're going to have one column's going to have the design going one way and the other column is going to be reversed. And I enjoyed using this method of edge-to-edge quilting when I did a couple of the quilts that I did. I found them very enjoyable and easy to do. The matchup was super easy. This is a closed design, which can be used in a way that they just nest together so that it looks like you have an overall edge-to-edge look, but in reality, you have single designs that are closed, like you see. This is a stipple, also a closed design. They are not linking together, but like I said, stipples are super forgiving, and you can have it look just like you stippled edge to edge all the way across. And I know personally, I wouldn't be able to do that in a free motion quilting way. So I love the fact that my embroidery machine can quilt. So, and this one even has little smaller designs for those areas. Like if you have a piece that you want to do that's not typically only going to fit these designs. Nesting designs and offsetting them can really add some beautiful visual interest. This design is in the Quilt with an Embroidery Machine in 8 Lessons book. They're easy lessons, so I guess I added that to the title. I love this book because it's one of my favorites because it actually gives you, like having Eileen Roach in your house, in your studio, helping you step by step. And it's a project-based book. So all of these designs are from that. And I took on a major project before the holidays and created some quilts for my grandkids. I made 2 fairy quilts. I used my block piecer to create the blocks for the fairy quilts. I used my quilt planner to lay out my quilting designs. And I used designs from Edge to Edge with an embroidery machine, Amelie Scott Designs, to do my decor. The little dinosaur quilt that you see over there, I did 2 of them. I have 2 grandsons, so I did 2 dinosaur quilts. The blocks on the cornerstones are from my block piecer, and I had a really fun time doing all of them and just absolute blast. And here are my granddaughters receiving their quilts on Christmas Eve, so they slept under them on Christmas Eve. So let's check in with Gloria and see if we have any questions before we can. Actually, we'll check in real quick and then we'll go back because I think I'm doing an extra check-in.
I feel like you are doing an extra check-in. I think you just missed me.
I did. I just wanted to see Gloria. But so I just wanted to double check because I have that. I need to take that slide out and I keep forgetting to. It's my reminder to come chat because sometimes I can get going and I don't stop.
No, I'm all set right now. Everyone's doing great. We're having a blast over here. A couple people bragging a little bit about some of the projects they've been working on. Who was
That's
it?
awesome. We love to hear that.
Noelle said she started a quilt top over a year ago. It was supposed to be a throw, and it turned out to be somewhere close to a king. And I thought that was just awesome.
I had that same problem with the dinosaur quilts because I bought fabric that just had dinosaurs on it, and then as I kept building it, it kept getting bigger and bigger and longer and longer. And my husband was cracking up because he said, "Well, how tall do you think these kids are going to be?" I said, "Well, they can take them to college." You know?
they can grow into it. They'll keep it for a while.
Well, if they're in my family, they're going to be tall. I mean, it would be a throwback if they weren't.
My boyfriend finally met both of my grandmothers, and he looked at me and he was like, you never had a chance, did you? I'm like, what do you mean to like crack past 5'3"? We're all little women over here.
Oh no, we're the women in my family. I think my youngest daughter is 5'8", and I'm almost 5'10". My oldest daughter is 6'1". My son was 6'5". So yeah, they're gonna be tall.
Beautiful.
All right,
So you're
Gloria. Well,
good.
we'll check back in. Nice to see you again.
Bye.
So let's talk about how we can plan those quilts. I love my quilt planner because it's like a design aid. It helps you visualize. I know me personally, I am very visual, and if I can see it, I can do it. If I can't see it, sometimes I can't get my head wrapped around it, and my quilt planner is going to help you with that. It automatically, it has automatic quilt layouts, include multiple borders, sashing, and layouts options. It designs custom layouts for all over quilting, from block, just a single block, to a king size. View your quilt designs on your actual quilt top. This is where, for me, this came in huge because I really like to be able to see, because I look at a design and I go, oh, that looks really good. But will it look really good on my design? I love that I can do that. Print full-size templates, 99 built-in designs, and more. So here's some of the designs that you get in those 99 designs. We've got singles, we've got rectangles, we've got little things that are great for borders. It's going to break things down into a layout, and we're going to go in the software in just a second and show you exactly how to do this. Each one of those little blocks we call cells. So let's go into the software and take a closer look. So this is the software. When it opens, it's going to look a lot like this. There is a welcome page that looks like this. So I don't want anybody to be surprised when they see that. It's supposed to be there, and it's going to tell you what this week's free design on the house design is. You can click here for software support, book a software lesson, view free designs, free monthly projects, all of those, as well as your user manuals here. It's also in other places, but this is a quick access point. And every time you open your software, you're going to see that. And then the first thing you're going to want to do is come up here to this icon that looks like a piece of paper. Click on it, and it's going to open a page that looks like this. All of our software is icon driven, which makes it really easy and user friendly. This icon right here is your quilt planner, Compose the Full Quilt. We're going to click on that first, and then we're going to let it know what size is our quilt. And for demo purposes, I'm going to leave it at 36. I'm going to change the size of my block to 8. I'm going to let you see that you can do not only square layout, you can do a rectangle layout, but since I have an 8x8 block, it's not going to show that. But you can do diamond, you can do brick. Let's go back to our square layout. You can have vertical and horizontal sashing. I'm going to take it out just for demo purposes. It makes this a little easier and quicker. I can have a cornerstone, or I can choose to have it have mitered sides, or I can choose it to have a cap, or I can choose it to have sides up. Let's go with sides up. Now, if you have a border, you definitely need to let it know how big the border is, 3, 4, 5 inches, however much it is. We're going to do, say, 3. And we need to tell it top and bottom because they're going to be handled separately. And then we need to remember we have a 36-inch quilt. We just took 3 inches off of these sides. So this is really 30 inches. And 6 would be a good division point, or 5. So we need to give it how many cells to break it into. And oh, actually, I want to put 6 there because that's the up and down. The top is this one, top and bottom. So we want to put 5 there. So those should be approximately the same. Now I need to let it know where I want my designs to go. So every time you color a cell, that's going to designate that cell for those designs. So I'm going to do an every other. design layout here. I'm going to come up here and grab myself another color and come in and do these. Now, because the top and bottom and left and right are going to be handled as separate sets, we're going to come in and do our top and our bottom. Then we're going to come in and choose yet another color and do our sides. And depending on what you choose, sides up, mitered, this is going to be a little bit different. Okay, so we've got our quilt colored in to all of our cells. Then we want to go to our preview color, and depending on what I'm doing, I usually choose black because that's going to show up probably the most for my stitch designs. And down here it says color opacity percentage. That might be a confusing statement for you, but what it is just we want to lighten it up so that we'll see the designs better. So we're going to make it, I usually do between 30 or 40%. So this one is 40. And then I want to tell it what kind of hooping sequence I want. Well, I'm going to do weightless quilter and click OK. All right, now the fun begins. Now we can add some designs. So let's go over to this little icon that looks like a package, a birthday package, and choose some designs. And this is where you would find those designs that we kind of scrolled through in the presentation. And for this one, I want to use this, and it's going to lay them in the middle. Now, if I wanted them to be in this box, all I need to do is drag it over. I do want to rotate it once. I'm going to click on center in the cell to make sure it's centered, and then fit to cell. That was pretty quick and easy, wasn't it? Now let's go back in, and we were in our squares, and I'm going to grab that design. And you notice it went right back in the middle. That's okay. We're just going to drag it over to this lighter purpley color. And I'm going to rotate that one as well. Center it, fit to cell. We are halfway done with designing this quilt. Now we want to choose something for those borders. Let's choose, I don't know, let's try some feathers, see what those look like. Oops. And we want to move this to where we want it. Oh, that looks very pretty. And then rather than have to go back into the decor box, I can just copy and paste and rotate this one and put it over here. And we're going to center it and fit to cell. And as quick as that, we created our layout. Now, there's technically only three designs here. We've got this one, and this one. So what I like to do is to create templates because this helps me with placement and layout. So I'm going to actually copy, open up a new design page, and paste it here. So there's my block. We can turn on the realistic view so you can see stitches with it. And I'm going to come up to this icon that says print preview. This is how I'm going to be able to print my templates and see what they're going to look like. And also, let's go back to the first page and let's see how we get all of our designs. We need to go to the next box next to the layout and export the quilt. And it's going to take a moment, and I want to save this in my desktop. And I'm going to name it test. And click on save. And as quick as that, it just opened up all four. Well, technically there were 4 designs because I rotated one of them for the border. So 4 designs for it, and then you have your test preview or the preview of your design. Let's take a look at that. I love this because it actually gives you your layout. It gives you your how you would start your quilting. So you would start here and work your way across and diagonally around. And then when you get to the other side of the quilt, you're going to flip it over so that you can do the other side. So if you do have any directional designs, you need to be aware of needing to turn them. So that it gives you that layout. It gives you all your designs that you can save to the format that you need for your machine. So let's go back. Let's minimize this and let's go back to this page here and see how we would save those. We're going to file, save as. I always save in the format for the software, the native language of the software, which is C2S, and then I save for whatever machine you need. You've got all the major home machines as well as commercial machines and even some long arm design or formats. So you have all the formats you need to be able to save this. So let's go back in and create a new quilt. And let's do this one with a different measurements. We're going to do this at 56 by 76. My blocks are going to be built more like the size of my hoop. So I'm going to do a 6. I need to put this on rectangle by 10 or 11, but we'll do 10. And I'm going to do a total edge to edge. So I'm going to take out the sashing. But I can create this however I want it to look. And I'm going to create it with a cornerstone. Let's give it a 3-inch border. Or let's do a 5-inch border just for fun. And let's see, we got 56. That would be, let's make this 6 inches. And this also 6. Let's do that more like, oops, I did not mean to do that. Let's do this 5 inches. All right, so there we have relatively even. And then we want to put our cell colors in. And we're going to do a edge to edge style, which means that we will need an A and a B border, or A and a B column. Oh, and if you slip and do that, that's okay. You can catch it on the other side. And if you're not comfortable doing just clicking and dragging, you can just click in each window. Let's get another color. And for this one, I will do that so I don't end up turning something else a different color. Grab another color for our top. And another color for our sides. Now remember, every area where a different style or type of design is going to be used has to be treated like a new cell. So we need yet another color for, it looks like a party in here, doesn't it? For the cornerstones. All right. So change this for our design colors to be black. Let's do our opacity. Let's do 30% so you can see the difference. And for our sequence, we're going to go edge to edge. Say, okay. All right. So what we're going to do is edge to edge within that center area. And it's very easy to take any design, because I bet you have some designs already. I know that I did before I got started. So I'm going to go to where my designs are. And I'm going to go down here to my external hard drive, give it a second to load. Let's come down here to the Amelie Scott designs. Let's go large. PES files. Let's make them so we can see them. Oh, well, let's open it. Do that again. All right, so we've got our designs here, and I'm going to choose, oh, those little bows are cute. Let's do the bows. We're going to choose an A, and we're going to put that in our A column. We're going to center it and fit it to cell. Then we're going to go back and merge in another, the B column. Put it in my B column, center it, fit to cell. Then I don't have any specific borders for Amelie Scott designs, so I'm going to come in here, and that's got little bows on it. So let's find something that looks kind of cute for bows. Let's do these little hearts. I think those will probably look cute. So we've got our little hearts. Put those in this line, center and align. We can copy and paste this one and just rotate it. Put it right here, center and align. And then we need to grab something for the cornerstones. So let's go to the singles. What do we got in singles? A little rose would be pretty. And it's little bitty, so I need to get my hand. There we go. Center and fit. And super easy, super quick to design. So let's go back and check out some features on the software. And these are just some designs from Amelie Scott designs and how they would look superimposed over a quilt photo. And I'm going to show you that when we come back to the software in a little bit, how that would actually work. And there's some of our exquisite medley thread with the variegations. This is one of my favorite colors. It looks absolutely spectacular on black. It also looks good on lighter colors too. And if you looked at the spool, you'd probably say, I don't want to use that, but it is gorgeous. I've used it on many quilts. So our ultimate quilt bundle is $699.99, normally $1,000 or $1,108.92. What do you get with this? You're going to get the Weightless Quilter, My Quilt Planner, our Volume 2 font pack, which has 11 micro fonts, our fine line thread that works beautifully for quilting, as well as utilizing for your microfonts. Microfonts are perfect for quilt labels, recipe towels, tiny monograms like on the cuff of a shirt or on a handkerchief. Our needle sampler pack, you get 100 needles in that. You're going to get our quilt planner, edge to edge with a border quilt plan by Eileen Roach, and a 30-minute one-on-one tutorial with a dime educator of your choice. And that is $699. Our professional quilt bundle is $439.99, and it includes my quilt planner software, the font bundle, that's $179 on its own, the fine line thread that works great for all of those things, the sharp needles, the lessons, and the 30-minute one-on-one tutorial for $439. Now, our quilt planner bundle is just the software and the lessons and the workbooks for $229.99. So all of these are great resources for you, and you'll be quilting, turning those quilt tops into full-on quilts really fast. Now, our dime micro fonts pack is normally $199.99. It's $179 today at the event price. You get a total of 11 micro fonts that you can use for recipe towels or monograms like you see in the picture, or quilt labels. They're a 1/2 inch or smaller, and that little inset there is representative of the size. So if you know what size a dime is, you know what size those are. And it comes with 11 different fonts. They're going to look beautiful and crisp. It's a download, so it's what I call purchase and play. Once you purchase it, you can be playing with it. So small lettering, micro fonts. If you're trying to do things with small lettering and you're just going to reduce the size of a traditional font, it reduces it universally. So anywhere your column widths are going to get very narrow, so then it won't even be very visible on the top of your fabric, as well as anywhere there's an overlap, you'll get knotting and bunching. So taking a traditional font and trying to make it small is not going to give you the results that you want. And the fine line thread, you're going to get 15 colors, 1,500 meters on every spool. You're going to want to use a 9 by 65 needle with this. And if you have an automatic needle threader, I highly recommend that you use a sticky note to cover it up, because needle threaders don't work with needles that small. So $59.99 for that. And our right needle for quilting, sharp needles are going to work better with wovens. They leave a smaller footprint, and this gives you 100 needles with a variety of sizes from 65.9 all the way up to 90.14. They are chrome plated. I love having these at my fingertips. It makes me better about changing the needles on my machine and not trying to see how long I can do it until I have a disaster for $39.99. So let's check in with Gloria and see if we have any questions. This is the real check-in, Gloria.
Hey.
Hey, where are you? I don't see you. Oh, there you
now?
are.
Okay,
There.
hi.
Now I see you. Oh, this is giving me a headache. I got to take it off.
Oh, it's fine. You look great with or without it.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions. We had it asked a couple times, when you're starting to do your quilting on your quilt, where do you start?
You want to start in the middle, and that chart, which I'm going to bring under the camera, it'll give you a start point on it, so you can see this is where you want to start. And I like to have my quilt basted with safety pins, have a template on it so I know exactly where I want to start, and then have a start and stop point. Because when I first started doing this many years ago, that was my biggest fear. Where do I start? What do I, where do I start? Where do I go? Which way? I need a map. And this software gives you a map.
Okay. I do have a couple questions that I did answer in the chat, but since the chat won't be there for later viewers, I want to go ahead and ask it now.
Oh, great.
There were questions on whether or not, if you got a design bundle, did you need the software to use the design bundle?
No, you don't necessarily need the software to use the design bundle. You can open the designs in Embroidery Toolshed, which is a free software to anyone that wants to download it, which is a minor editing and visualization as far as, you can see your design, you can print a template, that kind of thing. But if you're a visual person, which I find the majority of us are, and want to see, oh, that's what it's going to look like, and have a good idea, because I know me, I get a little nervous when it's the unknown.
Yeah.
So, and I know that a lot of people are like that. So if you have it, so you can say, oh, well, and when I show you that you can actually take a photograph of your quilt, bring it in, and then put your designs over it and see, oh, I like that one. I don't like that one. This one's perfect. It's good to go.
That sounds like a great way to really just plan out based off what you've already.
That's why I call it a design aid. I mean, not only you get designs with it, but it aids you in the visualization of how it's going to look in the completion.
I love it. I think we're all set for now.
All right, so let me get back to this and we'll check in before we finish up today. Thanks, Gloria. Thank you, guys. These are great questions. So, as we've been gathering our supplies and enjoying going through all the things that design, my quilt planner can do and designs can do. Let's talk about designs, because that, if you don't have designs, you don't have a place to start. So let's start with my favorite book, Digital Quilt with Your Embroidery Machine. This is a digital book, so you can download it. You can have it today. Once you've paid for it, you're going to get an email on how to download it. And this has 35 designs in it. It is project based, so you can work through the projects. It has things where it shows you how to do placement, how to utilize different shapes. It shows you how to add things to jelly roll quilts or table runners. This is one of my favorites. This is a create your block completely in the hoop. You've got your backing, your batting, and your top fabric. You're going to start the process with your raw edge applique. Then you're going to put the stipple, you're going to add that backing fabric, and you're going to add the stipple, and then it has a perfect way to put the quilt together so it looks like you pieced it and quilted it all at once, whereas you've done it in each individual block. So this is a fun one. This is $29.99, regularly $32.99, and it's got that little red arrow pointing downward that actually indicates that this is a download. So you can have this book immediately. I love instant gratification. Stream of Flowers is also a download, and this is was designed as a whole cloth quilt design, which basically what whole cloth quilt means is that you use one piece of fabric, or maybe one piece of fabric and some border fabric. It's not pieced. And then you add beautiful stitching. It's one of my favorite ways to embellish a piece of fabric. Now, as you can see here, this is done in this manner. And then we've also got it on a pieced quilt. And how fun is this? You could have a reversible quilt. That Stream of Flowers, you're going to get all of these different designs to work with for $39.99, normally $49.99. Our Ocean Waves is ocean-inspired dolphins, waves, seashells, 22 unique designs that are built into diamond squares, circles, borders, half square triangles, and all over quilting. All major stitch formats are represented, and you have 22 unique quilting designs for $39.99. And look how fun these are, those little happy little dolphins and seashells and waves. Then we're still gathering those supplies. We've been talking about templates, but I haven't shown you a template. So I definitely want to show you a template. Printed templates are going to be a great guidepost, especially if you don't have a machine that necessarily has all the bells and whistles, you know, the camera and the projector and all of those things. And this is, I mean, for those that don't have that, or even for those that do, because I like the extra security of knowing the template is where I want it. It is going to look exactly like this. So let's check out printed templates. This is a template showing where the connection point for the next design is. And you've got your connection point. You're going to line it up with your snap hoop monster, with your crosshairs on your template. So you have it straight in the hoop. And then you're going to remove that paper and do your stitching. The adhesive templates stay put until it's time to stitch. You can print them in your printer, inkjet, or laser printer. You can actually trim them, and you can save them and use them over and over. As you see here, you're going to put the needle in the position over the crosshair, remove the template, and then advance to the first stitch, drop the needle, and pull up the bobbin thread. And then when you need to reposition, all you're going to need to do is lift that snap hoop top frame, move to the next position, and you repeat the process. And it's really just very therapeutic, and you just sit there and watch it and mesmerized as what you're doing. So let's go under the camera and look at a few different things, template-wise and layout-wise. So here is the camera. So I've been talking about that layout from my quilt planner, and this is what you get when you print it out. I'm not a big one for using color ink, but if you have color ink, you can get it in color. So you've got your original layout, and then here you've got your where you start. You're going to start at D3, and you're going to do this column, and then you're just going to zigzag up and down and keep doing that. And this is an edge to edge or a weightless quilter layout. And then it even flips it upside down, so you remember that you need to turn that quilt so you don't have that extra quilt bulk over here, and that if you did choose anything that had a directional style, you would need to rotate that on your machine. So that is your layout that you get. And then here are our print and stick templates. Here's my favorite little stipple. And I use this over and over, and you can see that it looks a little, well, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks a little dingy because it's been used a lot. Now, let's take a look at this. This is actually showing it stitched and then at the connecting point. Here's the end point, here's the connecting point. This was the left hand, this is the right. And then, I mean, this one got used and used and used. So what if my template is going to be bigger than my paper? Well, it'll print in two parts. As you can see here, this has actually been joined at the intersect line. And then this one is an example of a bigger one that you would line up your 2 points, and then you'd be ready to go with your template. So, and here is just a little smaller diagram of the stitching and how they link together. So super fun, super quick. So let's go back to the presentation. So making the quilt sandwich. Sometimes it is, you're trying to base a large quilt in a small space. Well, this is a great way to do that with some pool noodles. You're going to take your quilt top right side up and pin it to a quilt noodle or a pool noodle. See, I don't even call them pool noodles anymore. They're quilt noodles. And you can pick these up. And if it's the time of year you can't find any pool noodles, go to your plumbing supply, your hardware store, and you can find things that are just like a pool noodle. They'll be gray. You might even be able to find bigger or longer ones. And you're just going to roll it up and smooth it. Set it aside. And then you're going to do the same thing with your backing fabric, except you're going to do that right side down. And you're going to roll that up. You're going to add your batting. And then you're going to line up your quilt top with your quilt back so that they're lined up. I actually like to cut my backs a little bit bigger so that there's some wiggle room so that you don't end up at a point where your quilt is not completely covering. So I just like to have that extra backing fabric. That's a personal me thing because I've gotten to the point where you're like, oh no, we don't have quite enough. And then you're going to take some safety pins and baste it all through all layers. And you kind of want to do it about this distance apart. And I call this the starfish method, when you put your hand out and you just spread your fingers, and that's going to give you the distance of where you want to be. And you're going to continue this until the quilt is completely basted. So let's look at some designs, the design bundles from Amelie Scott. The Christine's Edge to Edge Favorites bundle is the book and 10 designs, 3 expansion packs, expansion pack 2, 5, and 11, and 4 minis built for a 5x7 or a smaller base hoop. Then you're also going to get these really fun quilt patterns to create quilts, and they are pre-cut friendly. That's 44 designs, all for $95, normally $138. Let's check out what you're going to get in there. Something for babies, something for the summer or springtime, winter, fall. The one on the far right is what I used on the one quilt that had the lots of fall colors. Something for the music lover. This one's got baseball, kitty cats, little puppy dog, paws, pomegranates, pumpkins, spider webs. This one's got that quilt with the sewing machine, quilt block, sewing machine, and a little thread, a little thing for Christmas, something for somebody that maybe does more garment sewing than, say, quilting. We've got the iconic Christmas tree truck, some little puppy dogs, turkeys, candy. The one in second in the middle is the one I used on this quilt that's behind me, and it's super fun. There's your minis, and here's those fun quilts. I love the candy dots. I think that's going to be one of the next quilts that I create. This is $95. Edge to Edge Pro has 3 new techniques with extensive instructions, 4 table runner patterns, 3 quilt patterns, free embroidery tool shed software, which you can also get on our website for free, and 34 resizable quilting border and cornerstone designs for $40.50. And here's the example of these designs. And the difference between some of these is that these are resizable. And then the Edge to Edge Expansion Pack Plus, you're going to get 6 expansion packs, 4 5x7 minis, and 3 other quilt patterns for $120, normally $162. This is 64 designs in total. We've got baby feet, we've got under the sea, we've got pineapples, tropical with some flamingos. I know somebody that would like the flamingos. I've got choo-choo trains and wine lover, bicyclist, puzzles, hearts, jewels, hunters. We've got the hero and POW. I like that one for superhero lovers, golfers, fishermen, outdoorsmen, unicorns. Well, no, I don't see unicorns on this one. That must be the next slide. Oh, those look like little hedgehogs and skunks and bunny rabbits. Interesting. And there's the unicorns. We've got basketball, unicorns, turtles, the carpenter, nurses or doctors. If you've got a little prince or princess in your house, Hanukkah, gnomes, you know me, you'd love me, and little jars of jam. And then these are the minis for this set. And here's the quilt patterns, also quilt pre-cut friendly. This is $120, normally $162. Then we have our big files and small projects bundle. In the big files and small projects bundle, you have designs that are set for larger hoops. And then you have this real nice little seasonal placemat set, which is a great place to start as a new quilt with your embroidery machine person. These are set for 7 1/4 by 13, all the way up to 9 1/2 by 15. So, and what do we have here? We've got some swirls, we've got some honeycombs, we've got some pearls and flowers. We've got owls and cherries and little gingerbread. And the design that's down in the lower left actually was what I used on the dinosaur quilts, and it looked absolutely fabulous. Graduate, horse lover, teddy bears. And then the seasonal ones have flowers as well as seasonal for the holidays. This is 88, normally 110. Here is a medley variegated thread grouping. It's 2716. You get sunset, which is that orangey one that honestly, if I saw it in person, I probably would never pick it up, but it is, take my word for it, gorgeous when you quilt on things. It's one of my favorites. 1,000 meters on each spool. You get sunset, forest, denim, and cotton candy, all of which I've used on quilting projects and turn out beautiful. Then we have our color play sets, which are $20.75. You get 5 spools of thread, 1 variegated medley thread, and the 5 colors that are complementary and make up that variegated medley thread. There are 12 different colorways, so make sure you look at the drop down and check them all out. Then we have our event price for 60 spools of exquisite thread is, and the thread rack is $227.98. That's a great starting point. If you haven't tried exquisite thread, you will love it. I love using it. I have never had one bad thing to say about it. It's beautiful, has a high sheen, it's strong, it runs gorgeous. It is my go-to thread. And then we have the 30 spools of 5,000 meters. This is perfect for those multi-needle users or users that are using that same color over and over and over. And this is $199 for 30 spools. And last but not least, oops, let's back up. We have King Star metallic thread. King Star metallic thread is the best thing out there. I've had lots of metallic threads over the years. I've been embroidering and sewing for longer than I care to mention, but embroidering for 23 years. And it runs smoothly. It doesn't kink. It doesn't break. It uses a regular needle. You don't have to turn down your speed of stitching. And it's great for machine embroidery, quilting, and sewing. I've used so many different metallic threads to the point that I had given up. If they said it called for metallic thread, I started looking at my thread to figure out what was going to look like metallic thread, because other metallic threads require so much extra work and effort. So here we have an example of this sewing at full speed. This is a freestanding lace that we've done, and it's got metallic thread top and bottom. It is going full speed, doesn't have a special needle in. Check it out. This is as fast as this machine can go. This is $14.99. Check your cart to see what's available. This is such a hot product that it flies off the shelves, and we just can't keep up with the demand or knowing what colors are available. It comes in a lot of colors. But I'm going to go to the camera real quick so you can see this utilized for quilting. So this is a quilt in process, and I work on it whenever I have a chance, but I love the way this looks. It's one of those Hoffman panels, and I even did a different color up here in the center area where it was green, and I'm in love with the way it looks. I love the way it feels. It has a really nice hand, which you can't say about all metallic threads. So before we finish up, I told you I would go back into the software, and I just need to figure out where it's at. Here we go, and show you a couple more things. So let's open a new page, and let's do this. And we'll leave it 36 by 36. I think I'll leave it 6 by 6. I'm going to take the sashing out. And I'm not going to put any border on it. I'm just going to do one single color for everything. Let's do this. Hold it all down. Come in here. Let's do black for the thread. Let's bring it down to 30%. We will do weightless quilter for this one. All right, so I told you that you can bring in a photograph of a quilt. Well, we go to backdrop. Let's bring this one in. This is just one I picked up on the internet. And let's see, we have said 36 by 36. We need to come right underneath and define the scale. And I'm just going to go from the edge of the block over to the other edge of the block, and I'm going to type in 36. So now I can put whatever pattern I want to put in there. So let's choose this one. This looks interesting. And I'm going to put it in one of these little individual blocks. It's going to populate to all of them. I'm going to center it, and boom. I can take a look to see how this is going to look on my quilt. And remember, this is just the single design. So you only technically have one design here, but you can do all kinds of things with this, and you can get that visualization and understand what you've got going on. And you can play with all different sorts. And typically for something like this, where I'm not like, oh, I want to make sure I'm just in this area or that area, I'm going to quilt by the size of hoop that I've chosen to use on this quilt. And that usually dictates to, I want to do this as quickly as I possibly can, and what size hoop's going to get the job done without making the design too big. And so I will say, you know, here's my 8 by 12 is one of my sweet spots. I also like my 9.5 by 14. And when I was trying to get that dinosaur quilt done, I had my 10 5/8 by 16, and boy, was I happy I had it so that I could get that quilt accomplished and packed up and sent to them so they could sleep under it on Christmas Eve. So all of these things come into play, but I would probably, let's back up here. For me, I would probably have created this quilt with that in mind and said rectangle, and did my width, let's go 7, because you do want to leave yourself some wiggle room. It's going to make positioning and lining things up a lot easier if you don't like go, I've got a 10.5 by 10 5/8 by 16-inch hoop, and I'm going to quilt to the very edges. Don't do that to yourself. And then I'm going to do this at like 11. Okay. So that's going to only be 8 hoopings after I get rid of my sashing, or even I could have sashing. I'm just going to quilt all the way across it. So that's going to, when I get rid of the sashing, that's going to make it 15 hoopings. But I can get this done so much quicker. So let's choose this color. We've got a minute or two left. Let's make our default 30 so I can see that quilt through it. And let's do weightless. Let's go grab that picture again. And this could be a picture of the quilt that you did. If you don't have your quilt done and you're dreaming of what you want to do, no problem. You can use the dimensions from a magazine. I like to do stuff like that all the time because I like to be able to figure out what I think it's going to look like. And we're going to pop in that 36-inch here. So it nicely fills out the area. And let's come over here and just grab some of the Amelie Scott designs. And there you go. So you can get a really good idea and see the difference. I didn't change the color of the thread to a darker color. And in this example, maybe a lighter color would have been better. So play with it. I mean, that's the one thing I love about software is that you can just enjoy and play with it and have fun. So let's check in with Gloria before we wrap up today.
Hey,
Gloria.
So I had one question. I was kind of holding it off to the end. You know, I addressed it in the chat, but maybe since we have a moment, we can address it a little bit
We
further.
have a moment.
And so I was just hoping maybe you can just give a quick little overview on what the differences between my quilt planner and embellisher are, because it became a discussion.
Okay, so my quilt planner, first of all, is a little less expensive, and my quilt planner is more of a layout program than embellisher is. Embellisher, you're looking at lots and lots of ways that you can design and decorate your quilt blocks, your quilt panels, your everything. And my quilt planner, the designs are, for the most part, overall true run stitch designs. There's, single
Right.
from one point to another. On the embellisher, there are going to be some areas, because of digitizing, that there'll be more than one crossover. But I like to explain embellisher like my block piecer is a block design program. It creates blocks for you to create on your embroidery machine in the hoop. So you get perfect points. Everything lines up really nicely, and you don't have to worry about your quarter inches and all of that. And I call that the cake mix. And embellisher, I call the decorating kit. That famous cake decorating kit that's out there that's got all the tips and all the fancy stuff. That's the embellisher. I mean, you can do everything from, it has fonts, it has all kinds of beautiful things. It has 300 fill designs. The top of the line machine that's being sold right now has 46.
Okay.
So you can take any machine and have it operate like a top of the line machine when you utilize software. It's one of the reasons I love software, because you can take something that has minimal bells and whistles and have it whistling like, the tune from the Andy Griffith Show. It's, you just really have a lot of ability when you utilize software. It's one of the reasons it's one of my favorite things to play with.
Awesome. I love that. I think that was a great explanation.
Okay. But I mean, the embellisher is a little bit more expensive. And, this is a great place to start. If you've got tops that you want to turn into quilts, this is a wonderful place to start. And if you're a visual person, this is a wonderful place to start.
Okay. I think that answers any questions I had left.
All right. Well, that's great. And you guys have been a great group. I'm so happy that you joined me today. Thank you so much. And thank you to Vac City in College Station, Texas. I mean, I've been all over the world this week. My husband actually asks me that when I get done with one of these. He says, "Where'd you go today?" So I'm super happy that you joined us. Don't forget, you have 48 hours to watch and rewatch and shop. And thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay inside, stay warm, sew something beautiful. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.